Hey guys, it's Deni, as always. Agree that games in which you are immersed in the game world really not much. Well, here are such that was made with a soul, and where you forget that the world around the real one also exists. But nevertheless, there are such. And today, I will give you some great and most importantly, new single-player games that you can play with pleasure. Click on the like, click on subscribe if you are not already subscribed, and actually, let's go! Do you miss adrenaline and dynamic gameplay? The perfect place to get it all? Good old Crossout. Tense battles, dozens of different vehicles, and hundreds of parts for their customization are waiting for you. You can make a powerful, bulletproof tank and destroy your enemies just by the look of it. Or make something smaller, but fast, and get in the back of unsuspecting enemies. In any case, Crossout is the best place to show everyone who is a real pro. Download the game at the link in the description. Let's start today with Cyberpunk 2077. And yes, I remember what I said about how the games will be mostly new, but there's a lot to talk about here. It's all about the rather large Phantom Liberty add-on, which split the game into a before and after. The devs did a pretty good job of restoring the game, tightening up the optimization, and slashing a million bugs. And most importantly, most of the technical improvements will work even if you didn't buy the add-on. But the add-on itself was not without updates. Naturally, you are waiting for a new area, a new story, a redesigned skill tree, new weapons, transportation, and much more. Yes, I know that the phrase CD Projekt Red is not combinable, but this time everything is really not bad. While the Resident Evil games are trying to port to the iPhone 15, you can play them on PC. For example, in the excellent fourth part, especially because there is a new DLC which will reveal us from all sides one of the most attractive girls of the game industry, Ida Wong. If you wanted to play as her more, not just Leon, this is a great opportunity to do so. And the plot is great, a kind of missing link in the whole story chain of the fourth part. And you can give the game a 10 out of 10 for the spectacular heel knockdowns. In fact, when I first saw Lies of P, exactly the gameplay of this game, I somehow thought it couldn't do it. Too much it repeated all the mechanics of Souls of P, and there was nothing but visuals in it. And I'm glad I was wrong because the game feels good, and many people call it almost the best Souls-like game after Miyazaki's games. But there is perhaps one but. It's a harder game than Dark Souls and Elden. Not fairer, but harder. And it makes you bomb on every occasion, especially on bosses. Whether that's a plus or a minus is up to you, but otherwise it's great. A lot of people were waiting for Witchfire, and then the game somehow disappeared from Steam, literally right before release. But it did make it to the Epic Games Store, so you can download and play it there without any problems. The local world is at war, and you, armed with powerful spells and weapons created by the best sorcerers of the Vatican, you must find the infamous Witch of the Black Sea, destroy the ghostly army guarding her, and get a mysterious artifact that can finally turn the tide of the war. To do it all will be with beautiful graphics, some cruelty, and enjoyment. In general, the thing turned out to be cool. So is Starfield. No, of course it cannot be called a masterpiece of masterpieces, but in general, the adventures there are normal. We put on our shoes, climb into a spaceship, and go explore the vast space with a giant number of planets. In general, the game turned out to be a solid 7, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, yes, there are problems with the loading screen, which you see every 5 to 6 minutes of the game when you go somewhere, fly somewhere, and so on. Frequently, in a word. But in the same Skyrim, it didn't bother us much, so here you can close your eyes in general. You can play it with pleasure. You can still get inside the mech and suffer in Armored Core 6 from the creators of Dark Souls. The game offers fast-paced battles with complete freedom of action, customizable mech details, and intense boss battles. And each of these aspects make up the key indicators of the game's success. First of all, the strong dynamics in the game makes you always be in suspense because the game is challenging. Secondly, meat customization is almost the basis of the basics because the way you charge your unit will affect all your gameplay. And bosses, this is a separate conversation. I will only say that they are difficult, as well as the game as a whole. But if you like mechs or other From Software games, you should try it for sure. Here's something that quietly came out and didn't make a huge splash, although the game is actually not bad, and more shows that even small indie studios can create really beautiful, high-budget, at-first-glance games on the new Unreal Engine 5. The narrative of the game, Fort Solis, is set in a bleak and isolated mining base. The protagonist, Jack, responds to an emergency call and arrives at the base to investigate the mystery of the disappearance of employees. However, he quickly realizes that he is trapped and has no way to leave the base. Here we are going to help him. And this is a great game if you want both magic and shooting. Before you is a single-player magical shooter from the first person. Our main character we play as is Jack. The guy has joined the elite order of battle mages and intends to save the crumbling world. You are waiting for more than 25 different spells and under 80 different skills that will somehow improve us. Add to this excellent graphics and the output is more than a cool game, at least unusual. Speaking of unusual games, Boom Rush Cyberpunk is a game in which graffiti crews battle for control of the streets in the metropolis of New Amsterdam. The protagonist, Red, joins the Bomb Rush crew to become the best graffiti crew in the city. Together they explore different areas of the city and try to paint their best graffiti there. They also find new team members, discover new graffiti, outfit colors, and music. The game uses a unique trick system that allows us to perform tricks on a skateboard or BMX. The more tricks we perform, the more points we get, and we can get reinforcements. However, we need to be careful, as there is a dynamic militarized police force in the city, which increases in scale as vandalism is committed. Well, just like in GTA with stars. Overall, the thing is very cool. Let's add one more game to the piggy bank of unusual games for today. Here the team of developers has created a unique 2D role-playing game. In front of you is a roguelike, where each character has its own skills and combinations of attacks, and we need to think strategically and choose from 8 elements and more than 200 improvements to create combinations. The game combines 2 classic styles, side-scrolling and Metroidvania, offering a variety of enemies and bosses. The story takes place in a future where VR allows people to immerse themselves in a virtual world, but on top of that, it gradually affects their reality, so story choices are given a special place here too. Overall, a straight up enjoyable experience. If action wasn't enough for you, here comes one of the best meat shooters turbo Overkill. Johnny, our protagonist, returns to his hometown of Paradise and discovers that its entire population is possessed by Sin, a roaming artificial intelligence, and an army of his minions. Desperate for money, Johnny takes on the impossible job of destroying the greatest AI ever created. So we are waiting for wild action, not bad graphics, and excellent optimization. I advise you to try it, the game is cool. Let's not bypass horror games either. In front of you, a small but very atmospheric indie horror, literally for an hour. Kowloon is a microtown in China, and in the heart of one of the neighborhoods of the city, poverty and gangsterism flourishes. But we don't really care about that. We play as a student whose immediate desire is to be able to find a cheap place to live. He finds it naturally, but literally Sporogagai is pulled into some hidden as if an alternate reality. Here on it, we and Will race, trying to understand what happened. Atmospheric, not bad in terms of graphics, and sometimes really scary. Enough with the horror, better let's get in some car, preferably a racing car, and go racing. The ideal place where you can do this is in the game F1, racing on Formula 1 cars. I think about the fact that there are different cars, different tracks, and cool graphics do not need to tell, as well as the fact that the cars are customizable. But what is worth mentioning is that the game suddenly has a story component. The mode is called Formula Victory, which is very unusual for racing. Well, and it is also made great. I'll also tell you today about the perfect single-player shooter. This is Trepong 2, probably the most dynamic, frantic, and cute shooter I've ever seen, and a little bloody. Although it's too bloody, it's no worse than Think, because the amount of monsters that are here is about the same as in Doom, and you're also kind of a handyman yourself. In the story here, a mysterious group of people rescues you from an extremely important secret facility. You don't remember anything about your past, but your combat skills go far beyond human capabilities. So your main quest is to figure out what's going on in this world, why there are so many monsters, and you're the only one who can shoot with two hands at once, if you feel like it. But this game is more like a co-op game, but if you want, you can rest in it solo and your partners will be replaced by bots, as it is done, for example, in Left 4 Dead. Gameplay is similar, by the way, but only instead of a large number of zombies you met there, here you are waiting for a mountain of motley xenomorphs. The number of aliens here is just off the scale, so your main quest is to stop the spread of this contagion on the moon of Leta. That's where you are. It will be beautiful, there is an option to collect equipment for the team and yourself, in general cool thing.